What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. This is A2D Wednesday nights. Talking Phillies with you, but main topic, James Bradberry and the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's get after it.
I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice.
Struck him out.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
Welcome in, everybody. This is A2D Wednesday nights, only on A2D Radio. Every Wednesday, we are brought to you by our good friends over at James Bread. Go check them out. Located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Home of the best stuffed bread, tomato pie, sandwiches, cut with meatballs. You name it, mention A2D Radio. Get 10% off your order. James Bread. As always, and from a long time ago, AM and the PM.
Oh, Tom and Mike AM and the PM action?
Yep. Mike Mataraki. I'm Tom Arnone. So if you've been with us that long, we really appreciate you. If you just got here with us, we appreciate you too. But this is really appreciative. You've really been here that long.
Way back Wednesday.
Way back. Hashtag it. Phillies, Braves, we'll preview that. Walker lit up by the Astros today. We'll dissect that. And Greg, we talked about it backstage for a quick second. Like, I don't think they ruined the Phillies, like the fans' feelings on the Phillies, as much as it's just every time he starts.
Yeah,
it's that night's like, let's go out and do something. We don't need a TV.
we don't need to watch tonight's game.
Yeah, that's a freebie. That's honey.
You want to go to date, honey?
Yeah, biggest freebie of all time. So I mean, I got if you're going 6 starters anyway for a minute, or spreading it out, if they do. Listen, even if they go 5, he's not going to throw in the postseason. Mm-hmm. And maybe this year he'll complain about it like he did last year. But
it legitimately could not have worked out any better, though. His last start was Friday night. Nope, sorry, date night. Today, afternoon game, everybody's at work. I mean, we don't have to waste our time watching that stuff.
Yeah, you can't script it. Cannot script it. Main topic at hand, Eagles roster breakdown, and it's Howie Roseman done. Ties right into our poll question. You are shocked James Bradberry is still on the Eagles roster. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcast, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, follow. I say it all the time. Most importantly, join the conversation with us tonight. All right?
Oh, yeah.
Join it. I disagree. I'm not shocked at all. He's not even listed as a starter. He's a backup. And when you really look at okay, if they couldn't keep Ricks or Ringo, then you'd be like, all right, now I'm annoyed. They're both on the roster, right? Their younger guys are on the roster, right? Now, when Jones comes back, right, then the question becomes, is Bradberry still here? That's when we'll have that conversation. But I have no problem with him being a backup safety on this team. One, because usually when he's on his contract year, he plays his best football. I'm not saying he will. I'm not going to bet on that. But that's his history, okay? A little older, obviously, now. But listen, who cares? He's a backup, right? He's the backup. I'll take veterans that have been able to play the game at a high level at times in this league or for seasons, okay, over a bunch, too many young guys, right? We have the good mix of veterans and young guys. If you were looking at our D-backs, it's all young cats.
Yeah.
Right? Are all our guys that most of them, all the guys that we drafted, 2 guys we drafted aren't even starters, right? That's Rodgers, that's Maddox, that's Slay, right? So all your younger guys are sort of your backup guys. Outside of Reed, but Reed's not even young anymore. Reed obviously Reed's going to start back there with CJ, GJ, but all the rest of the guys are on the back end are young. So I got no problem with it. He's not holding somebody up. He's not holding somebody up from developing. He's just not. So to me, it's I disagree. I'm not a James Bradberry cat. I'm just saying I disagree to it. I don't care if he's a backup. If he's a starter, I'm annoyed by everything about him. But I'm not shocked by it. I'm not shocked by it because, listen, they paid him for the 1 year, right? That was their decision. And I think they set themselves up nice because they're deep there, right? They're extremely deep. So guys do go down in the most important position outside of quarterback in a pass-happy league. You can't have too many guys. So, yeah, I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree as well. I kind of knew when minicamp rolled around they started playing him at safety, he was going to be on this team. I mean, to me, it's a business decision. That is Howie looking at the money they have invested in James Bradberry, looking at the safety position and trying to figure out how much more money they could invest in that spot and saying, you know what, if he has the versatility to play the safety position and we could get two guys, him and Devontae, that, you know, could swing between safety and corner. I mean, that versatility in your defensive backfield, you know, you can't put a price on that.
Swing it. Swing it around, baby.
Swinger talk.
Swinger talk.
Jesus. We go to the way back Wednesday and all the stuff comes dredging back up.
It's already off the rails.
You are a problem, Greg.
I mean, I just think they're like super deep too.
Yeah, I mean, you got 11 people back there in between the cornerback and safety positions, right? I'll agree to the poll just on this sense because I absolutely agree with both you guys and probably truly disagree to the poll. But like James Bradberry is the Eagles' Taijuan Walker, right? The Eagles just have a lot more depth and positions to hide him and or not even dress him certain times on games. But I'll agree just from this side point. As you just talked about, Tommy and Mike as well, right? It's such a pass-happy league, and we are really deep back there. I'm shocked another team hadn't come calling for a guy like Bradberry. And I know he's mostly washed at the cornerback position, but there's been a lot of injuries. Right, there was a lot of injuries throughout training camp for a lot of these teams, and I know he was linked to a couple teams like the Cardinals and the Panthers and stuff like that. Cardinals, he'd be reunited with Jonathan Bonehead Gannon, right? So where he did play pretty well under Gannon. So that's where I'll agree that I'm shocked that he's still here. Is that just no one else came calling for him, or how he couldn't find an opportunity necessarily to get rid of him and save some money other than truly cutting him, because he wasn't getting cut, right? Like I said, he's the Eagles' Taijuan Walker. He's not going anywhere, right? Unless someone needs him, he's going to be here for at least a minute. And then Tommy, I like what you said. Once Jones is ready, then we're going to have maybe a deeper conversation as to, all right, where's James Bradberry's true position on this team?
Yeah, but the other conversation that needs to be had. So this would be 2024. He's got his option. He's 9.6 mil guaranteed. This year they restructured that.
It's possible.
He's a cap hit of 4.3. This year, is this considered a 24 season or a 25?
24,
right? Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure because we go on to 25. I know how it works sometimes. I get confused by it because I feel like they rush it. But whatever. He's a $4.3 million cap hit. So he's a dead cap of 15.
Yeah, that's what it is they're looking at the dead cap and saying, we got to find a spot for him.
Yeah.
We either got to trade him or we got to find a spot for him.
And Greg, I disagree with you that like the Eagles are hiding it better than the Phillies, because in reality, the Phillies, you can't hide it any better. I mean, you got four guys in front of them. So he just happens to throw. He just happens to be one of your five starters, right? That's that bad. Now, you hide it by getting rid of the guy or eating it. But then again, you're in the same conversation. You're asking a team to eat that kind of money. Like, it's, they're going to keep trying to pray that you figure it out, but also not kill him.
Yeah.
And in the Bradberry situation, the money speaks for it alone. Like, they're not taking that hit, nor should they. And when you can make him a backup, it's safe to say it's even better.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, though. I mean,
Still a pro.
Yeah, we still
100% pro.
No, me.
Oh,
I just sneezed. He didn't even know.
I did.
That's how much of a pro. I was just crowning myself for a second.
I thought you were going with James Bradberry, and I was like, I've actually become more of a fan of Bradberry throughout this all season in training camp.
He's a pro, though. He's
because
a pro.
of how he's reacted to it.
Even Slay. I'll call him Slay for the time being.
Yeah.
Even Slay. He's been a pro this offseason. So, when you're a pro, I'll respect you for being a pro.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we'll see if he decides to not want to tackle anybody, and then I'll start calling him by his first name.
Well, my whole thing is we still got 8 days until this, until this season kicks off. I don't necessarily think Howie is done. And it wouldn't surprise me if Bradberry, Maddox, one of those guys in the defensive backfield became a casualty somewhere along the way.
So me and Mike
disagree. No, I agree, Mike.
No, you're right. You're right.
Sorry, we all know that initial 53 isn't always the game day 53. With just, and there's a lot of other guys that got cut that were somewhat shocking throughout the league, right? Just because the numbers are what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, you get a backup pro who's had success in this league, going to a position that may be harder, maybe better for him. Who knows? 31 years old, and
he's not ancient though. Yeah.
If he has to play, somebody's hurt.
Yeah.
So, right, he's backing up Reed, and it's a nice backup to Reed because Reed usually gets hurt. So you need it. You would want a veteran there. So at least you're like, it's not money well spent, right, per se, at all. But you can deal with it because I think a lot changes next year in his dead cap. I mean, actually, it just goes down to 10. So he's a guy you're almost stuck with. You're almost stuck with him.
Yeah.
And he's not gonna. I thought he was on the last year of his deal, but I forgot they redid something.
Yeah, I mean, as long like you said, he's a pro. As long as he's being a good locker room guy, a good mentor, he's playing special teams. When he's on the field, he's solid. I think you can deal with that. I mean, there's a huge difference in eating, $60 million of dead cap with Carson Wentz because you can't have the guy on your team anymore versus, $30 million of dead cap with James Bradberry when the guy has done everything that you've asked of him, other than, tackle when
other than not hold
the rest of the team had already quit as well.
Yeah.
Don't hold the Super Bowl, James, maybe once.
He might not, Chucks, but that's like, I don't know. Well, I didn't see the dead cap for a year. So that's like, yeah, you're right. Because if he can't play and they find out he can't play, they're going to get out of the money for next year then. Right? They'd rather just take the hit now, the 15 million dead cap, than have to owe but the dead cap of, 10-8 next year. And a cap hit of 7-8. Those cap hits even higher next year. So, this is a chance to see if he sticks around. For his sake.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have time, though. He's going to play. He's going to play because Reed does get hurt. And then we'll see if Sidney comes back and if Sidney bumps him out. And Bobby Eagles is going to agree. He's shocked Bradberry is here. Also, don't know why the Eagles love Calcaterra. Well, I mean, they didn't really put much emphasis on a backup tight end. But
that, and if you listen to the so-called experts, they say Calcaterra is one of the most improved players in their roster.
And he's got a relationship with Jalen Hurts from being at Oklahoma.
True.
And there's that.
That's who you know. Bro, do you agree?
more in life than you realize, right?
No, here we are. Crum, do you agree or disagree? You were shocked James Bradberry is still on the Eagles roster.
No, I disagree for pretty much every reason you guys kind of threw out there, right? I mean, I never really looked at this. I figured if he was gone, he would have been gone a lot earlier than this, right? So the closer we got to camp and we got to the 53-man roster, I really didn't see a chance that he was going to be cut. The dead cap hit's huge at this point. I thought they would have had to trade him. I know the Titans inquired on him and a couple of the other teams you guys mentioned. It doesn't seem like anything got anywhere close. So at that point, you guys used the Taijuan Walker comparison. I think it's a fair comparison. You're kind of stuck with him and hoping that he can develop at the safety position. And to your guys' point, it doesn't mean they're done yet, right? They went out today and they signed Nick Gates to the practice squad with the intention to elevate him week 1. So he's going to take somebody's spot as a backup center. So we're not done yet. Or at least we may not be done yet. We know what Howie, when something's out there, he tends to pull the trigger or find moves when you don't expect it. Look at Jahan Dotson. That's a prime example. So, no, not shocked at all. This close to if you would have asked me 2 or 3 weeks ago, you might have got a different answer of do I think he's going to make this roster?
Yeah, like I said before you came on, Chrome, like he didn't make it over anybody.
It's not, there really wasn't a ton of depth there, right? So it's almost he's making it I think because of the financial reason, and B, it's almost a necessity that you kind of got to hope and pray that he can make a transition like a Malcolm Jenkins, right? I think he's kind of physically made up similar to what he is, to where you could hope that at this point in his career he can make that transition. A lot of guys his age do, for longevity, do try to make that transition.
I mean, Chrome, that's a great call out, because if he makes the transition anywhere near what Malcolm did, I mean, he's going to be a solid safety.
And Malcolm was a guy who, when he first made that transition, a lot of people didn't think it was going to work out. And again, I'm not saying he's Malcolm Jenkins, right?
Yeah, he did it a little younger. Obviously, Malcolm did it a little bit younger. Obviously, in 31.
Of course. But just, a comparison-wise, when I look at his
but it's something that hit my head that it's something that like I thought of when we were talking and just never said out loud. So it's a point that like I'm right with you on.
Yeah.
The difference between him and Malcolm, though, is Malcolm is a lot better tackler than he is.
Oh, he doesn't want to tackle. So that's why he won't be as good. It's just, can you be good enough in coverage if you need to play? Because, again, he's not holding anybody's spot right now. He's not beating anybody out.
I don't even think he's starting. Yeah, he's like a depth guy at this point.
No, Reed starts over him.
Yeah,
exactly. So, again, he didn't win a job over Ringo or Ricks as backups, or obviously – you have Cooper, who's not even considered a safety, right? And then you have Quinyon Mitchell, who's a backup too. Like I said earlier on, all your young guys are essentially backups to the veterans. And you have Bradberry, who's a backup, right? So Bradberry's like your lone veteran who's a backup, and he's been a pro this offseason, like Greg's talked about and we've talked about. So, I'm not shocked, and I don't have a problem.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for Cooper to get on the field the first few weeks. I think he's got to make up some time for all that time he missed during training camp. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't surprise me one bit if we see a lot of Quinyon Marshall.
I think so. I think we'll see a lot.
Sorry, Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of him over the course of the year, too. Well, plus you just put pressure on guys too.
Yeah,
like you don't want to tackle, like Slay. You don't want to tackle. Right, Bradberry, you're on the field. You don't want to tackle, right? Guys don't want to tackle. They're not going to be on the field. You have that ability now, because young guys always want to tackle. A young cat don't know no better.
Yeah,
right. So young puppies always want to get their beak wet. 21 years old, you put your nose in anything, even off the field. So
it's funny you said that though, because I'm saying that we're not going to see a lot of DeJean, but that might be the one thing that gets him on the field. Is his willingness to stick his hat in there.
Absolutely. And he's another question mark too, and just health. Like he's a I want to say low risk, because you still use the higher pick on him, but to me he's a high reward guy. If he can be healthy, he's such a tremendous athlete that his upside to me is crazy good. Like again, he's had his injury concerns, and hamstrings I don't really count as that, but when you just got done getting hurt and getting back, it's like, but then you also understand how much football have you played? You haven't. So that's when those injuries occur, right? So it's just getting the body back. So hopefully when he gets his body back, he doesn't have any more, the injury bug doesn't riddle him, because if it doesn't, he's going to be really good. Mitchell, I don't know. He's good where you come from. Now, everything in camp sounds great, right? Sounds great. And usually you get that at camp, but not all the time. Not in this city. They're not gonna praise you if you look like shit. So that's exciting, right? And I think the year of being grouped, I think it matters. If you have the right guys in front. We've watched this act before. Different regime, but same people essentially. Right? We've watched this Sheldon Lido picks. They get stashed for a year behind Bobby and Troy. Not as good, but Isaiah Rodgers and Darius Slay's pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's who's starting over them. So it's not like you got guys, you got guys better than that. Slay's starting over Quinyon. And they have Cooper on the Eagles website as the backup nickelback to Avante. So, you're talking about guys that are getting groomed. So Isaiah is a young guy too. So Isaiah is a guy you're like, all right, well, if he hits, now look what we have back here.
Yeah.
Look at how young we are. Isaiah, Quinion, and Cooper are your three corners. I mean, that's fun.
Yeah.
You hope. And you hope the groom helps.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, you look at Isaiah Rodgers, if he wasn't suspended, there's no shot he's on this team, right? Because he's getting paid so much more money by some other team. Like you said, Slay is still a top 10 corner. Right, not in the top half of that, but he's still a top 10 corner. And then if Rodgers wasn't suspended, he'd probably be right in that top 15. Right, he'd probably be right that tier below there. So yeah, you're loaded there. So it's a good problem to have because we obviously all know where this league is going or where it already is in being a pass-heavy, offensive-driven league.
We have another question from Swoopy. Are you guys shocked? This is on the opposite side of the football. Are you guys shocked Paris Campbell wasn't on the 53? I think Dotson, in addition, has a lot to do with it. If he wasn't acquired, Campbell would likely be on the 53. I think it has everything to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're gonna pay two guys too, that's a position you go a little shorter on, and if those guys go down, you're in trouble anyway.
Yeah, I think that's
one of those.
That came down to either going to be Paris Campbell or John Ross. And when they had the opportunity to get Dotson just more or less was the end for both of them.
Yeah, because John Ross had a good camp, but he got hurt, right? So he missed the last preseason game.
Shocking.
He does.
I mean, him and Campbell
but he looked productive.
He looked camp.
Yeah. And I mean, Ross looked productive enough that I thought that there was a shot if he stayed healthy. Obviously, I think he would have made this team. So, I mean, but once you go on and get just John Dotson, to you guys' point, you're already paying a whole lot of money at that skill position. And he was a no-brainer to add to this mix of wide receivers that I don't think there's really a spot for those two guys.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I just don't understand how Washington trades him in the division.
For nothing.
Yeah. Like, what are they doing?
We talked about it a couple times. Like, I've talked about like 2 times since it. And it's funny because every time it's like, all you can do in your head is say, well, it's Washington being Washington. Like, there's no other rationale, right? Besides just being who they are. It's like crazy. Like, some people will just always be who they are, and it seems like it's lasted longer in this division than others, right? Like, this division, Washington and Dallas have been who they are, right? Washington have a few years where they're, right, they'll all have their years where they're, right, but they are who they are. They are who we thought they were. Somehow these two organizations have been doing it for 2 decades. I don't understand. Every other division doesn't have that, like, in their division. Think about it. Because like even the Jets, you can't even say for 2 decades, right? Because in the early 2000s, they were really good.
I don't get it.
And meanwhile, the Cowboys are signing a backfield of all pros for 2019.
That's what he does.
Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott.
The day after his quote. Like he did a quote the other day, no fucking GM. His word. No fucking GM can do what I do. And then he goes out and 48 hours later, it's Dalvin Cook. Like, oh my goodness, Jerry. But isn't it amazing though? Like, I never really thought about it. Like, look around the league. How many teams have been like, they didn't be in conference title games? I mean, we're not talking about like winning a Super Bowl. I'm just talking about like being in conference title games.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable to me though with Washington. I mean, this guy was, I mean, he was a first round draft pick, a top 20 pick 2 years ago.
Yeah. I don't know why. And I tried to like think about it, like, is he a bad teammate? Is he not a hard worker? Like, you're just trying to find ways. And like, does production drop a little bit? Yeah, it's quarterback change too. So I mean, I thought he made a lot of high contested catches for touchdowns. Year one especially. Going up and getting balls, and you're like, is this guy 6'3"? He's 5'11". So I mean, I thought he showed well. In that, Washington fans tell you he doesn't get off the line well. But guess what? The great thing here is, like, you're going to get off the line just fine because there's so much talent. That's where I think he can take, like, his career can grow leaps and bounds. Because now there's not as much pressure on him as there's on the other two guys. They're getting paid. Yeah. They're getting paid to perform at a high level. So I think the growth, like, even though those guys are young, they have a bigger track record. Like Devontae has a better track record than him. You can learn stuff from a guy who's small like you. Like, you know what I mean? Who's tiny like you? What are some of your things that you work on? Like, if you want to learn at any level, guys are usually around to help you learn.
Yeah, and I think what you look at what they did at the wide receiver position with the cuts and stuff like that, you're looking at a group of guys that, in AJ and Devontae that don't take plays off, right? That traditionally haven't been hurt yet in their careers, right? For long periods of time. Well, obviously, AJ with Tennessee, but since he's been here in the Eagles, he hasn't been hurt very much, right? So you don't have to carry 6-7 guys like they had in the past, right? Because you have one guy in Covey who's we know is obviously the return guy, but you essentially roll with 4 wide receivers with Mr. Wilson over there as the 4th guy. So they're not going super, super deep over there because these guys play every down and they don't get hurt for the most part.
I saw a tweet about Wilson that it makes me laugh. Jalen showed his confidence in him, even though his hands aren't. Even though his hands, he's at a little bit of the drops. Like, wait, what? Like, yeah, dude. Anybody's gonna find confidence in a guy who's 6'7". Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just 101. Like, he doesn't have he doesn't have a lot of confidence in him. You don't catch the football. Confidence ain't a thing. Then you're in practice mode, right? So if a play is designed to go somewhere, a lot of times you throw it. Makes sense in practice mode.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think he has this like big trust for him. He's the 4th wide receiver. If he has to play a lot, Houston, I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, I think too with Dotson, right? I mean, there's been the talk that he drops a couple footballs here and there, but I've also seen him make some really big catches, including against us early in the season last year, where he made that catch late in the game that the Eagles almost lost the game against them. That they ended up getting a walk-off field goal by Jake Elliott. So, listen, he's a productive guy. He's very young still. He's a first-round pick previously. And then I also look at Ron Rivera, did not really develop a whole lot of offensive players with Washington, right? So I think he's in a much better situation here, too, without as much pressure, having 2 guys like Devontae, having a guy like AJ around, and also having a guy like Dallas around, right? Where you have a lot of experienced receivers in this offense when he's around. We're correct. A lot of experienced receivers in this offense. You have an experienced offensive coordinator now who's had a lot of success in the passing game, to where I think this kid could come out here and he can thrive and maybe start to take that next step.
And a regular quarterback.
And
right?
a franchise
your quarterback is going to be. It's
absolutely
not, Heineke keg can for 3 games. It's not Jason Campbell. I know I'm going with it. You know what I mean? But it's not the direct that usually beats us in the Washington Commanders, right?
not a revolving door of quarterbacks.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Swoopy, Paris Campbell is on the practice squad, so it's not like he really went anywhere.
Did they sign him to the practice squad?
Yeah.
You really know where to go, too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got nowhere to go either. He's been the proverbial speed burner on every team he's been on, and he's still getting passed around.
Bobby says linebacker or a safety on Dot. Forget about it. Like you like those 2 positions, Bobby? Because I agree with you.
I got to tell you, I'm a bit surprised that they kept 6 linebackers. I mean, that was a spot where I legitimately thought they were probably going to go a little bit light and sign some guys
with 2 more on the practice squad. With 2 on the practice squad, right?
Right. I thought
who do they count as the 6? Who do they count as?
They've got Nakobe, Baum, Devin White, Trotter Jr. are the inside guys, and then the 2 outside backers are Jalix Hunt and Patrick Johnson. So they kept 6 linebackers. And
Van Summerlin, too. You forgot about Van Summerlin.
Yes. Sorry, 7. Yeah, Van Summerlin. So, yeah, they kept 7 linebackers. And I kind of expected them to go light at linebacker and have a couple guys at on the practice squad where they would just do like their, game day standard elevations. But
I mean, is there anybody there that they could maybe give a couple reps on the edge, though?
It's possible. It's entirely possible.
They have Hunt and Johnson listed as like edge guys.
Yeah.
On the depth chart, like in the 3-4 concept. which obviously can be made out to make it seem like they're playing linebacker.
Yeah.
But they're really just an outside pass rusher.
Right.
So that's where I think they have missed, because even like Nolan Smith's listed there. They're all listed on the same side, like Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, Hunt, Patrick Johnson, and then the other guys are Huff and Graham. So, and then.
But it's interesting though. If you have got you got Hunt and Graham on one side, or I'm sorry, Huff and Graham on one side, and they're basically just in a rotation on one side, and you've got all these other guys listed at edge on the opposite side. I mean, who are you playing? Is Josh Sweat the starter there, and then behind him it's just a rotation?
Well, I would think Hunt would probably go to the other side, right? Or Johnson, or one of them, right? I think this way they have it listed is a little strange, right?
I think the combinations are going to be interesting for sure.
Sure is, yeah.
Because they're trying to get Nolan Smith on the field too, right? I mean, they're trying to get all these guys, but they have this ability of a lot of athleticism that they can put on the field on third down and really be creative with who's coming and who's not. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not like overrating this defense one bit right now, right? But I think they have a lot of flexibility on who they can come get you with. I think when you go into the 3-4 concept, and I think something we haven't talked enough about, is now Jordan Davis becomes your nose tackle. Mm-hmm. He doesn't become just a 4-3 defensive tackle now. Like he's now in the spot, in my opinion, that's really best suited for him. And I really believe it is. So, we'll see, but I think it should help him. But now you have Milton Williams and Jalen Carter as pass rush guys too. So, we got to factor that into what's on the field, because they're going to be on the field a lot. And there'll be situations where they change things up a little bit here and there on third downs and stuff, but like they're going to be expected to be on the field a lot.
Yeah, and if you look back to Fangio's defenses, specifically if you look at Miami the last few years, Karam, I know you could attest to this, right? But you always look up into Miami and you always look at some edge rusher or linebacker. You're like, how does that person have 10 sacks, right? Who is this person and how they have 10 sacks, right? So we know Fangio does a really good job of molding or, rotating these guys in, putting them in positions to succeed, to go get the quarterback or go get and make plays in the backfield. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they rotate all these guys to get them in. But, we potentially are going to look up and be like, holy crap, Patrick Johnson, who? You know what I mean? Like, where does Patrick Johnson come from? And it's just from being in a system and being with a coach that knows, how to put these guys in the position.
Well, and I could see a world where, Jalen Carter may not be coming off the field. He may just be, lining up in all different positions, but, he's a 3-down defensive lineman, and he may be inside on first down, outside second and third down, and, they may just move him all over the place. It really all just kind of depends on who the opponent is and who else on that defensive front is hot at the time.
Yeah, he is. That's him. He's playing a 5-man front. It's 3D tackles, essentially. That's how, that's 3-4. We're not really used to that here. We had it for a second. Second really didn't work. I think we'll definitely have more of the build for it now with those outside guys than we probably ever did. That's not saying that it's, we're getting 1,000 sacks. It just seems like we have a lot more rotation there and we're deeper, which is a win. I think the only place we're not deep at is you got those 3 guys that we talk about, and then you're young, you're still young back there. Mm-hmm. None of those guys, like if I read off the names, everybody knows them. We know Tupa Lodo, Thomas Booker, and Moro Ojuma. So there are backups to Davis, Carter, and Milton Williams.
They're all guys that played well in camp in the preseason and probably didn't deserve to be cut. One of those guys could be trade bait for sure.
But you need those guys to be solid. So it's good, it's good if they need to play. Hopefully we get a year where they don't need to play.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Like this team, I mean, they know how to build offensive and defensive lines, man. They just build from the trenches. I mean, you had a guy like Darian Kennard. Nobody knew who he was. He played almost every snap of the preseason and played his way right onto the squad. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, you've got all these defensive linemen, Tommy, that you just rattled off, and every one of them looked good in camp. Now, some of the linebackers that they cut couldn't tackle to save their lives in the preseason, but the defensive line looked good.
Yeah, which is good. Which is good. We have those young linebackers. At least we hope we do. And we have 3 of them. You just need 2 of them to hit. So Devin, N'Kobe, and Jeremiah. So, right, we're in that. It's a good conversation to have. Like, you just need 2 of them to be really good. Now,
the biggest overreaction an Eagles fan can have is being concerned about the defense based on what happened in the preseason.
Yeah,
because the starters did not play more than a handful of plays in the entire preseason. And there's so many guys that got tons of snaps in the preseason that just aren't even on this team anymore. So week 1, all preseason is a wash.
Yeah, I think that's been a staple of the organization, right? Build it from the inside out. We talk about that. How many years have we talked about that, right? You win up front. And again, when you have on the offensive side of the ball, when you have a guy like a Jeff Stoutland, who's like a pro's pro at this point, like a legendary offensive line coach, who's put out some of the best offensive lines of the last 20 years consistently. Like, I do think there's a synchronicity between the coaching staff and Howie Roseman and an ability to identify that specific position. That seems like that's been something that's been consistent over the last 10 years specifically. And then again, on the defensive side, like, I have to think that Vic Fangio has a lot of input in the talent that was brought in here. That's why I know when we talk about a guy like a Bryce Huffman, what's he going to bring to the table, right? He didn't play every down last year, but the production he put up in, I think he played maybe 70% of the snaps or whatever it was, 70, 75, was monstrous. So I have to think that when Vic Fangio sees a guy like that and they bring him in, there's a reason why he feels like he's going to fit that defensive front. Because I do think that one thing with Vic Fangio, and you kind of touched on a little bit, Greg, he always has good offensive lines or defensive lines too. Yeah. To where guys find ways to get to the quarterback and get sacks. And it almost seemed like whoever they would plug in. I mean, I think the defense suffered a little bit last year, and I've said this a couple of times, because they had some pretty big injuries that I don't think anybody talks about. Jalen Ramsey missed a lot of time in the secondary. You had injuries in the playoffs when Chubb went down. One of their other pass rushers, I can't remember. Their 2 top pass rushers were out. By the time they got in the playoffs, they were still out coming into this year. Yeah, I mean, they got 2 guys that are out coming in this year on Miami. So, again, like, he just finds a way to plug guys in, and that's kind of been the MO here. So I have no reason to believe that they're not going to figure it out this year and find ways to get to the quarterback. I know you missed Hassan Reddick this year, but I think that Hunt's going to be a really good pickup here, where we're going to look back at what people were critical of to start, and they're going to look back and say, Howie and the staff, they knew what they were looking at.
Jalen Phillips, the kid you were thinking of.
Yeah,
Jalen Phillips,
yes.
The kid from the U.
Yes, absolutely, yep.
Well, I'll say this, like, too, like, I mean, I would love Howie to have one of those drafts where, you know, he hits on all these guys. I mean, that's big. It's big for the organization. It's huge. You do that stuff well, and you hit on 4 or 5 picks. Right, you're really setting yourself up for a while. And I'm not talking about like all got to be stars. Just you hit 4 really good players, 5 really good players that are contributors for you for a good amount of time. You know, you're on to something. You're saving money, saving money, and I know he values it. Never say he didn't,
especially when you're paying the quarterback, the running back, and 2 wide receivers right now.
Yeah, you have to believe in yourself when it comes to that stuff, right? Like, to that point, you have to go in that night saying, "Hey, we got to win this night, and we got to acquire stuff to be able to win in years down the road." And they did that too. I mean, it's like I said the other night with Greg, or Greg wasn't on it, but I said to Wells, I said, like, listen, this isn't going to be a year where I come in and I'm going to be critical of Howie Roseman. Like, I think he put together an A+ roster, And I think this is a 13-win team. And I think they're in that area of 12, 13 wins. And
Agreed.
if they don't get it done, it's on the players. I think the roster isn't a roster for me to look back on and complain about if I like it this much going in. So I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback them for 1 year. Doesn't mean other things you can't be critical of, right? But I won't in terms of the roster.
Well, no, you look at the offensive skill position players on this team. If they don't put up points, it's a problem.
Huge problem.
Big problem.
No, I think you nailed it. I think you hit the nail on the head the other night, Tom, in that conversation. There's no way, and there are times where you can. We've seen it all over this organization, right? Talk about Daryl Moore or this city. Daryl Morey, talk about John Middleton and them going out and making the moves they made. But there's no way, if this team doesn't achieve what they should achieve this year, that I can go, and the first person I'm pointing at is Howie Roseman. Because he went out and completely revamped this team. They went out and they got the coaching staff that seems it's going to be successful. So if anything, at the end of this year, I'm going coaching first. Because there's no reason with the skill position players that they put into place. They still have leadership on this team. I know they lost Kelsey. I know they lost Fletcher Cox. There are guys on this team that are leaders. You still have Lane. You still have Brandon Graham for another year. There are guys who have been staples of this organization, who have been a part of the Super Bowl teams that are leaders on this organization, that I would have to then look at the coaching staff.
Yeah, and to be honest, that might be the only spot you can go to Howie with or Jeffrey with and be like, well, then maybe it was on you because he didn't move on, right? Like there's one side of it to say, hey, keep it going and just make changes around it. But if it doesn't go somewhere, then that might be the only spot because everything else is right. This roster is A+ going into the season, right? You can't sit there and question very much on this roster at all. So it is. You're right, Chrome. It turns out to be either your big money players came up small or your coaches were just that inept, which is probably the only thing that you can then turn back around and look up above and say, hey, maybe you should have moved on from Nick, like the rumors were or like the thought was before you brought him back. So that would be the only scenario.
Yeah, and at this point, there's not blowing this team up.
No,
there's too much money tied in.
No way to.
It's not possible. They can't trade everybody away. There's going to be too much money on the line at this point, right? So the next logical step is going to be the coaching staff. And we're not just talking coordinators. We're talking about the head of the snake.
When you look at the names up and down this roster, why would you want to blow it up?
No, I mean, at that point, you want to bring another coach in who knows how to manage that kind of absolutely,
exactly.
100%.
I mean, there's people around the league right now that are looking at this offense and going, oh, my God, how do we stop that?
Yep.
Well, you have, I don't know if you guys saw the report with the anonymous defensive coach to The Athletic saying the way you stop it is just play cover zero or fake cover zero every time. But, that worked last year, and God, who made the point? Might have been Dominique Foxworth. It's a different team this year. There is a lot of those options. Because how do you beat that? Then you find your quick option, whether it's to the running back or whoever, They have the guy in place now to be able to help combat that in the backfield.
Yep.
And you're not going to be able to do that because of the dynamic of what Saquon brings, whether he's a runner or passer, the run-pass option, everything else that they run into this. You can't just sit back and play cover zero every play and bank that Jalen Hurts is going to make a bad pass or an incorrect decision.
And I think if you look at the other running backs in that system too, they all have the ability to play both sides of the football, right?
Yep.
They all have the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield and then be a runner too, right? So, I think for the first time in a while, we're not putting a back in the backfield and being like, oh, this is a run pass or this is a pass play, right? This is a pass play. No, these guys can do all three of them can do both. They can both run the football or they can all run the football and they can all catch it out of the backfield. And I think that's a huge deal for them.
And
just because it was an issue last year doesn't mean it's going to be an issue this year either.
Yeah.
Like, forget about the roster being different. I mean, then we're saying a guy can never grow. Like, I mean, I know that report and I get it. And it's something obviously we all have known. I mean, I don't need that report to know that. I watch games where teams did it and I watched them struggle with it. So nobody needed that.
Well, we watched in the season before beat it all the time. You know what I mean? It was a different coaching staff. and they found ways to beat that cover zero defense. So, to your point, Tom, I can't look at last year and say that's the baseline of everything, and
that's the blueprint. Yeah, that's the blueprint. It's how you beat it. Well, and like you said, we're better, obviously, but forget being better. Like this is supposed to be a franchise quarterback. So you better be banking on guys wanting to get better coming into the damn year, and I would expect him to want to get better at the things that he struggles with. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to not want to, right? Like it doesn't make sense.
100%.
I mean, I don't even know if we want to answer that, Josh. How much trouble is the offense going to be if Saquon goes down for an extended time? I mean, never ideal.
Yeah.
Right. Like I mean, they're still going to be really good.
Well, yeah. I mean, what's your faith in Kenny Gainwell and Will Shipley? I think Shipley's going to be a good player. I'm not saying he's going to be Saquon, but there's so much offense. Like, again, you don't want to miss Saquon, but like I wouldn't look at it and say this offense is going to be terrible now. Like,
yeah, you're spot on, Crow. I think what happens is you go from not having that, or with Saquon, you have that bell cow back, and if he goes out, then you go running back by committee. You still have tons of talent on the outside, and oh, by the way, a quarterback that excels in RPO. So, I think if you watch Will Shipley in college, I mean, the guy's got all the talent in the world. I think he's a draft day steal, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And
Agreed.
Kenny Gainwell, I mean, we know what we have there. He's fine.
He has his moment, and listen, He has his moments. He makes really strong plays too, as well. So I think he's a strong 2. I really like Shipley. I think he's going to be a really good number 2 at some point. Like I would be more concerned if, say, we lose an AJ for an extended period of time than I would losing a Saquon.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I almost anticipate we're going to lose Dallas for some point.
Oh, yeah. Write it down. Yeah. Yep, happening soon.
And I'm going to like Chick-fil-A. I mean, like,
probably stubbed his toe tonight going to bed.
Kenny, I like Kenny because
tripped over Avante.
I think Kenny's always ran hard, right? That's why I've always liked Kenny, because he'll run hard. So you can't. I mean, Saquon runs hard too, but I'm just saying, like outside of him, and Shipley runs hard too for his size. It's fine. It's really guys go down. It's a quarterback driven league, so he's got to play great. And I'm not like saying he won't. I'm just saying he has to play great. Mm-hmm. He has to play at a high level. If franchise quarterbacks or guys getting paid this kind of money they're scrutinized in a big way. I mean, if Dak didn't, we'd be crushing them. Yeah. So it needs to go the same way. Like, he has to play at a high level. And, I think if you put most quarterbacks in this situation, even how bad the league is at the quarterback position, and they're all healthy, I don't know guys that are struggling with it. Like, I think Gardner Minshew wins 11 games with this team. Like, I think, what I mean? Like,
I miss me some Minshew mania, but I agree with you.
That's how crazy it is. Like, that's how good this offense is. I don't want any of that get taken away. Like, and like we said, oh, well, if they struggle, we'll put it on the coaches. Like, we can't do that again. Yeah. Like, we just went out and went and got 2 big name coaches. Now it's their fault. So now it's everybody else's fault. That's why I said the other night. Like, it's everybody else's? Come on. No. I'm a coach. I'll fire coaches all day, but at the end of the day, these players got to perform, and your big money guys got to perform. And in every sport, we talk about it with the Phillies.
I was just going to say, you talking about the Phillies or the Eagles?
We'll get into it because it's the same concept. Like, those guys have to perform at a high level, or the Phillies wouldn't be in a situation they're in right now, and the Eagles wouldn't be going into this year. So that's what you're paid to do. So if they don't, I don't tell them more. And Vic forgot how to coach. Like, you want to tell me Kellen did, I go, okay, whatever. Like, I won't argue that one as much, but Vic's a lifer.
Yeah.
So you're not going to convince me that he forgot how to coach. You got a better chance of convincing me Kellen Moore did, but still, I ain't doing that. Because everybody he's had under him have put up big time numbers.
Yeah, because he's put up number 1 offenses all over the place.
Oh. So, I mean, does he have
The only reason he's not in Dallas is because Mike McCarthy wanted to I mean, Mike McCarthy's job was on the line, so he wanted to take it into his own hands to save his job and not, but at the end of the day, he ran the same offense that fucking Kellen Moore ran, passed the football. And they continue to, he's helped to develop quite a few players on that Dallas Cowboys offense.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he has a big development in Dak, too. Let's not be mistaken there. That matters.
Dak, CD, absolutely.
Herbie's just a pimp to begin with. So, that team was just always hurt, right? That's just what
they had a terrible head coach last year, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's in a good spot here, and the only job that's on the line is Nick to not be a great overseer. If he doesn't oversee great, you see it. That means you're not. Then they're going to blame somebody, and it's going to be Nick. And listen, rightfully so, right? Rightfully so. Like if this team isn't, I'll continue to say it's not I'll give him 11 at like the real low here. You understand? And that better be like you're not collapsing at the end either, right? So it's all in context of what that 11 is. But if they're not in that 11 to 13, like everything's fireable, man. Or if they're at 10, okay, fine, and they go on a run in the playoffs and they're in a title game, okay, makes sense, guys. Like it's all in context again, but like it's fireable. Like if you win 10 games and you're a wild card exit, like see it.
I don't
back-to-back wild card exit.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way this team doesn't win 12 games. It would have to be a monumental collapse for me for this team to lose 12 games or to not win 12 games.
Where do you have him at now? I had him at 13 last
week. I am at 12.
Well, what did you have, Matt? Mike, 11?
I'm like back and forth between 11 and 12.
I can see them winning 13.
13 is just me being me, but it's putting a lot of demand on them too. Like I'm putting demand on it because how good the roster is. Like I don't want any of us fans getting misguided, like about anything schedule wise. Like we're the big bad wolf offensively. Like we're the one who should be walking in your door ready to put up 35 when your ass, and you don't even know what hit you. That's at halftime, right? Yeah. And then we're bitching because they struggled in the second half and won 35-21. Right? Like, I don't know. They can continue to do that.
It's what we do,
right? But come on. But I know Vegas doesn't have us there. And that was Wilson's argument Sunday. So all he wanted to keep coming back on. I said, well, why are you so terrible then with Vegas? If you know him so well, if you got it all figured out, why are you bad then?
Vegas has him 10.5?
Yeah, which is I think is really low. But
yeah, I mean, I'm in that 11-12 as well. But I'm not that I'm starting to, but I'm wondering. I'm glad you kind of went there because I was thinking about this today. Like I'm wondering if maybe we are overvaluing slightly, and I always say that just because. You have the Nick Wright, right? We know Nick Wright's a clown, right? But he's not the only one that not necessarily coming in third, but I've seen other places where people are almost betting not under the 10.5. I've seen people going in and like under 9.5, getting plus money on the Eagles. And I'm wondering, like, what does the outside see that maybe us being too close to it are overlooking?
They think everybody in the division is going to beat up on each other.
And they hate us.
Well, that I agree with. Yes,
that's the easy one. Like they just hate us. Nobody likes us
because they hate us.
Care. Yeah.
Well, I don't think they like Nick. I don't think they like Nick Sirianni either. I think that's a big factor. And if he's the head of the snake, they after seeing what they saw last year, I don't think they believe that he's going to be the guy that can, no matter who's on the roster, that's going to be able to lead them out of this.
Yes, Nick.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
And Mahomes, Urban Mahomes, rightfully so, as he should be stroked. And LeBron, for the most, Greg won't agree with this, but for the most part, he should be stroked. Just not as much as Mike ever, but he still should have a stroke. You know what I mean? Not like
he could have a stroke.
No, I'm not saying that. No, we're not going on it.
It's like Glaze.
But Brian, pretty good. He's pretty good, Greg. He's pretty good. Yeah. I'm not a big Bronner. I'm an MJ, but it's like you just still can't do this. I don't understand why you can't.
I don't get it either.
Yeah, like the guy had a great career. Like it's not the greatest of all time career.
Correct.
But longevity wise, it's the best. Nobody's coming close to that.
Even
And
over
that's why I
Jordan,
said,
I
listen,
guess say that longevity-wise.
Yeah, but I hear you.
Greg, you'll like them. I don't say you ever like them. We're talking about basketball. That's all. Like I don't have to get into anything else anybody else thinks about because what you do, boo boo. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I talk about the player on the
I'm
court.
talking about basketball.
No, you don't like it for other things, and that's fine.
I'm talking about basketball.
A lot of people don't like it.
Outside of basketball, I could go on a tangent.
Okay,
I'm talking about pure basketball.
Fair.
I'm talking about pure basketball.
If you believe that, then fine. Okay. So enlighten me on where he's not like, let's just go.
I just think
top 10 all time. He's not top 10 all time.
Mike's sitting there like it's story time. Here we go.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you got top 10. Okay. So let's go. Because I think I think it doesn't have anybody who doesn't have a top 10. It's just like, wow, you're off your rocker. So now you're back on your rocker a little bit. Now I don't know if I have him. I don't think I have him top 5.
He's not top 5.
Like there's too many guys that I think we can forget
5.
about. So if you have
definitely
like
not
8,
2 to me,
like I might have him like 8 to 10. I think I have him in that 8 to 10 range all time. 8 to 10. The longevity is a big part.
To be honest with you, I think the longevity hurts him because he doesn't win enough. Right? So it's like it's spacing out his.
If you want to be a numbers guy, if you want to be a number guy to your point, yes, I get it. Then it doesn't.
I think the longevity is impressive in terms of being able to keep your body going on that long. But we talk about it all the time. The medicine and what people are able to do with their bodies.
What are you, 25, Don? What are you, 25? Like, what are you, 25? Like, I'm going to tell my son one day, go watch Larry Bird. You want to be
what I'm saying.
You want to like talk about some guys that
people sleep on Bird.
Ain't enough guys going to talk about. Go watch some Larry Legend for a minute and get back to me, right? Because Larry can do everything and he just forgets about it because I get it. Time goes on, right? Rightfully so. But when we can keep guys alive, not that I'm trying to keep the Celtics alive, but I try to be the worldwide leader. Real talk. Larry's
a stone cold killer.
Kobe, I think, is better than LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Kobe's better than LeBron. MJ's 100%. On my board all day, right? On my board, it ain't even close, right? It's just not close, and nor should it be. And shoe sales tell you that, right? When he's still the highest selling shoe at Nike, still tells you everything you need to know about Mike.
I love that trump card.
I just laugh when Don says, "Where did this show go?"
Yeah,
like it's how we started. Tom and Mike AM in the PM way back Wednesday. The show went everywhere, and it still does.
I love it. But no, he. If I don't have top 5 guys, you don't got to come at my throat. Or if I have Kobe over him, I don't know. It's not like throat worthy, right? It's not throat worthy.
I can see Kobe. I can't not put him in the top 5, but I would put Kobe over him for sure.
Is Seth better than LeBron?
He was in the.
I don't know.
He was in the Olympics.
I think when you talk about size,
the wrong guy got the MVP.
I think
that 2 minute alone in the championship game gets the MVP to Steph.
One dude had a dynasty during his prime years here. Like one dude, not his prime years, but pretty close if you look at his career. Like the big monster years for him, one dude put a mini dynasty together.
Yep.
Like, I mean, and he's the leader of that. He changed the game. Like like guys started shooting from half court all of a sudden. Like, the game was never played that deep from the basket until he started playing the game that deep. When you change the game, you're in that 10. You're in the 10. AI's right there too. You're in the 10. Those guys are in that 10. Will in the 10. When you have to when people change the game because of your ass, you're
Magic, a 6'9" point guard.
Yep. Hey, you know what I mean? Like
Magic, I put up there.
Magic's in there.
Magic,
for sure.
Bird.
Stop. He's not top 10. Not Kobe, not top 10. Shaq's in top 10.
Come on.
Shaq's in the 10.
Me. Kobe's not top 10. Get out of here.
That's egregious right there.
That is big time egregious.
Like my top 10's like weird because it's like, it's MJ, it's AI, it's in no particular order. It's Larry, it's Wilt, and then there's guys like Shaq.
Shaq's got to be in there somewhere.
I don't know if I say Kobe, but I'm trying to make sure I don't go over 10. LeBron, Seth, like
Kareem.
I might leave Kareem out of mine. I might be a guy that says that's too long ago for me. I'm leaving Kareem out because I just can't, right? Because you can only fit so many in. So you got to go to a certain point with it, right? Because but I mean, he might have to be in there too.
It's really interesting because
Joel Embiid after this year.
however many years ago they did that, like NBA's 50 greatest players of all time. I would love to see what would happen if they did that again now. Like what guys are bumped and what guys.
Well, they did. You're saying stick at 50.
Yeah, just stay.
Okay.
Just like every 10 years, like rename
redo
the
it,
50 greatest NBA players of all time, and see who gets bumped and who sticks.
Well, I didn't see if they bumped anybody off the 75 compared to 50. I'd be curious now thinking about that if I could go back and see anyone that didn't make 75.
But then you can't when guys are not all around anymore. Like when guys are dead, you can't take them off. People will be calling that like Twitter. You get slaughtered on Twitter. So maybe they have to keep a lock, right? And on the one day will be the end of the top 200, but it's just a lock. They top 50 is the prestigious.
Right.
But they should though. It's cool. Like they should.
Right. Well, you get a guy like Doc, who revolutionized the game and was a flat out stud in the ABA, but in the NBA, people some people don't even have him top 20.
Yeah, I would just because it's here. You know what I mean? I'll find a way to get him in. Yeah. Just because it's here. But there's a lot of great players, but it depends where you. All right, we'll get back to we'll get to this. We got this coming up soon. We got this coming up soon. Sorry, we're not going back to the mailman like Sunday. I love to circle back to things that can get you in trouble. I just don't know how Karl Malone has just gotten away with being a creep and scumbag for years. Right. Like I have no idea. It just boggles my mind.
Talking power players, I put Duncan over him.
Oh yeah, but how does he get honored? Like Timmy. You hear about Timmy. You think he's a nice guy, but you hear he's an asshole. And that's fine.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit. He's a winner.
But Timmy's a saint. He's a saint compared to Karl Malone.
Yeah, Karl's a scumbag. I mean, it's not laughing about it either. He's a scumbag.
He's from Louisiana and he played in Utah. End of story.
Yeah. You can make a cousin comment. You can make a lot of things. I'm not going to do it. Walker lit up again as we see our way out here in the last 10 minutes here. We'll talk some Phillies with you. And make sure if you haven't, hit that like, hit that subscribe.
Hello, Topper. Yeah, I'm not coming in today, Topper. I'm just phoning it in.
Why does it always feel like that though? Like on a game where you want to keep the momentum, it's just like, yeah, we're just gonna mail it in. I knew this game was over when I watched Kyle Schwarber take 3 cock shots down the middle at 95 miles an hour and just looked at all 3 of them like, oh, I was supposed to swing at those? I'm like, this game is not going to go. It's not going to go well.
Greg,
if we're watching that.
He was through 4 with a no-hitter, 9 strikeouts on 47 pitches.
Yeah.
And he had walked 2 guys on 8 pitches.
You guys want to hear this one?
How do you get through 4 innings on 47 pitches?
At the big league level.
At the big
against
league
a
level,
supposedly great offense.
with 9 strikeouts and 2 walks.
Yeah, where's the killer shot? Where's the kill shot? This is what bothers me with this offense, and we'll get back to that one in a second. I want to read you this about Walker. No Phillies pitcher had allowed 13 hits without recording a strikeout since Blix, and just by the name Blix, we're going back.
Yeah.
Right?
Hans Blix.
Blix Donnelly, good old Blix Donnelly in 1948. That's why Blix did not stick as a great name because of that. Walker's 6-run outing, I was in 10-0 loss to Houston, actually lowered his earned run average from 9.26 to 9.17. In 4 starts since returning from the injury list, he generated 2 swinging strikes on 93 pitches. 2 swinging strikes on 93 pitches. I don't know where. Maybe they lost their computers. Maybe maybe down at CBP we're anti-analytics, which I would love, but we're not. All right, we're not. And how does somebody in dock size not be running down to the office and being like, yeah, hey Rob, somebody knocking on somebody's door and being like, I know we owe them a lot of money. I understand. But this is a scheduled loss, like we talked about right when we came on. Like, this is scheduled. This is, oh, we can go do something with the family. This is we could set up anything we wanted. Well, you want to have a meeting? Yeah, we'll have a meeting. Hey, I'm scheduled. When's Walker pitch? Oh yeah, I'm good that night. Let's go out. We'll meet up. Anytime. Hey, there's the times. Today. Oh, you want to go run some errands? Sure. Let's go do some things.
Home Depot, Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yeah, you want to go hop in some neighbors' pools when they're not around and really get a good skim for them, which I actually do. I do. If I use your pool, I'm a good skimmer. I like the
make sure the top is clean.
Yeah, but no, I mean,
listen, man, I'll tell you this much: if a game starts before I'm done work, please let it be the Taijuan Walker game. That way, I'm not missing anything.
Nothing. So that's bad. So that little thing's bad. I don't know what they do with them, guys. I
don't know either, because I was trying to get a read on Topper and his posts and his presser, and like I said, I listened to Taijuan. I think Topper's finally open to the point of, we might have to make a decision now finally on something with him. But I obviously he's not a bullpen guy. It's not like he's got bullets, right? His worth to this team is being able to eat up innings.
Yep.
Right. And being able to supposedly keep a game close while eating up innings. Right. That was always what we thought he was going to be. And it's what he has been, except for this year where he's just not gotten any swing or miss and he's not getting anybody out right now. He's not going to the bullpen. So I'm wondering maybe they just skip his next start because they have an off day and they don't necessarily need him until next weekend.
Well, if they're talking about going to a 6-man rotation in September, he's not going anywhere. Simply because they just don't have the numbers to not give him that start every 6th or 7th day.
I said it and I stand by it. They should have made a trade for a starter pitcher at the trade deadline.
Agreed.
Now more than ever. And I think the thing with him, we talked about this last season, Tom, a lot, especially when we had Mitch on, right? I think the thing with Walker was last year he had success, but it was almost like a mirage of success.
It was Eagle success at 10-1.
He was doing enough in moments, right, to keep them in games or make plays, and he had a lot of offensive support, right? And I think he was making pitches at certain times in the game when you needed an out, even though he gave up 4 runs in 3 innings or 5 runs in 3 and 2/3 innings. He's not having that he's not in those situations and having that kind of success this year. It's just he's getting his doors blown off, and the offense is not hitting now since he's come back. And you're seeing the result of, if you don't have any offensive support and you're a guy who, is not going to pitch to, a sub-3 ERA, you're not going to have a lot of success in this league, and you are an almost automatic loss. You're hanging almost an automatic L.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't have a problem with him sticking around the rest of this year. If you go to a 6-man rotation, him being the 6th man and whatever through September, right? Because I know there's no chance of him pitching in the postseason, and that's all that really matters. But following this year, he shouldn't be nowhere on this roster. They want to ride it out, and they for their own shits and giggles, they want to ride this out with him and see if he can give him a quality or 2 start down the road here, down the stretch. Then go ahead, because you're just going to see he can't. And maybe surprises you. Who cares? But again, you have so much front end talent. He shouldn't matter.
It should.
Now, he's not making anything competitive. And that's where you have to draw the line. That's where a guy like, Tyler Phillips, he made things competitive. So it's not like they don't have guys he's been way more competitive than he was.
Even I know Howard's been competitive.
Yeah, recently. I know his last 2 outings weren't as much as the outings prior to that for Phillips, but he was competitive. I'm not crowning it, but as your 6th starter or 5th starter, it's better than a guy that's down 6-0. Or 8-0, or all his stuff in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
It's not like he's even getting hit in 1 inning. He's getting hit early and often.
Yeah, it's multiple.
You're better off going and making it a bullpen game than going that route. Now, you're not going to do that at this point of the year and strain your pen like that. That's where it's like, why not? Why not bring a Phillips back up? Why not? Any young kid, you want to go to a 6-man rotation and see what you have.
Well, I feel like at this point, they're not going to give you anything worse than what you're getting. The problem, though, is this guy's making a lot of money, and you still have him 2 more years on the books.
Yeah, well,
and you know what?
It's a contract.
It is, but not every free agent contract is going to hit, right? You know what I mean? Like at the time, he was the guy that you could get at the time.
He was that third starter they were looking for.
And they might ultimately punt after this year on it, right?
Look, hold on. Greg, hold on. Like, to the point of that is, like, you brought him in to be like your third guy, and you ended up getting 2 other diamonds in the rough that pushed him back to being your 5th. So you won anyway.
Sure.
You know, in a weird way, like, you won anyway, even though you had to play Christopher. But in baseball, it don't matter. It's not like football where you're like tied down by it. Like you are, but you're not. When that place is sold out all year, you're not tied down to it.
Yeah.
You're just not. You're making so much money that you're just not. You're not tied down to it. Like I said, they might not do it in the year because they don't want to.
Well,
they don't want to do
there's
bad
no
by a
need
guy.
to do it right now,
They
right?
don't want to do bad by the guy either.
Sure.
Right.
Well, I mean,
at the end of his
if
career.
Because they all say he's a good teammate. He works hard.
So
if you
you
look
just
at
let
him,
it go for a year.
2022 with the Mets, he's 12-5 with a 3.5 ERA. He comes over last year, and Chrome, this is kind of alludes to what you were talking about. So he goes 15-6, but that ERA is 4.4. So he's almost a full point higher in ERA. Tells me he had a lot of offensive support, and he won a lot of games like 6-4, 7-5, you know, whatever the case may be. I mean, and this year now, I mean, his ERA 6.5. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we haven't seen the last of him, but I just don't know how much more they can run him out there, especially if the division and the wild card and everything is going to stay tight.
Somewhat
now,
tight. Yeah.
If Atlanta comes in here this weekend and they take 3 out of 4 from Atlanta, and the Mets drop some games this weekend, and all of a sudden we get to Monday and, you know, we're up 9 in the division, and at that point we're just basically, you know, riding through September, just trying to get to that number 1 seed, then maybe it becomes a different story.
Yeah. I think the good thing, though, too, is
story, though. I mean, in 2015, he was 95 on his fastball. So, and he threw 63% of the time.
Yeah, he's nowhere near that velocity right now.
Now, these days, he sits 91, but he doesn't even throw that. He obviously throws his sinker more at 91. And when he doesn't locate his sinker, and that's been the biggest thing, you don't locate his sinker at all, and he gets hit all around. And then when he's forced to throw the fastball, he gets hammered.
Yeah, and see, my thing was and I was never a fan of the deal. He's a guy that always was supposed to have a ton of potential. He had a lot of injury problems early in his career. And if you look at his numbers, in seasons where he's pitched like 27, 28 games or more, his ERA is inflated, like well over the 4 mark. To that point where I'm looking at him, if I'm bringing him in, say, as a third option, the track record to me doesn't fit that, because you're expecting him to pitch a lot of games then. In his career, in full seasons where he's pitched, say 27 or more, 28 or more starts, it's not been good. He's needed a lot of offensive support.
But even as the 4th, right, you're still that's sort of the going rate, right? Like, I don't even like. Do you guys think his contract's like out of proportion? Because I don't think it is.
4 years, it's a 4-year. That's where I think you get it. The 4, the average annual salary is the AAV is not what kills me with him, but they gave him 4 years, and the track record was never there to give this guy a 4-year deal.
Yeah, and I think some of that you're trying to. Yeah, and again, it's where you make bad deals, like where you want to try to get somebody, you make sure you get them, right?
If he was like a 2 or 3 year guy, maybe, but 4 years, man, you're not even 2 years in, and you're like, oh man, you made your buyer's remorse at this point.
Yeah, and 2, you're not going to bring up, like, you know, my point was like bring up guys. You're not really going to bring up guys now either, too, like young guys. You're not going to do that. Too young,
yeah,
guys.
They don't really do September call-ups as much. You know, it's not as much of a thing as it used to be. the emphasis on.
I know none of us want to see him throw anymore, but I think he's going to have another start or two here. So sad.
Yeah, and I think this actually benefits that the Phillies are basically road warriors for the rest of the year. Is I just hope all his starts just end up on the road, because I feel bad for the Phillies fans going down there on days that he starts, because they're punting the game.
Yeah, schedule loss.
All right, Greg, and I know, and Rob loves to punt the games already anyway.
Oh my God!
Not even just that.
He doesn't need an excuse to punt games.
It's not even just that. I don't know if his.
He does.
I mean,
he does.
I feel like it's temperamental at this point already, but his psyche in front of the home crowd with the way he's been pitching, I don't think that's going to help things at all.
Yeah.
I will say this though: if it is true that he got that 1-2-3 inning in the fifth
and
he
sixth,
went in and he said to Thompson, "Run me out there for one more. Don't burn the bullpen."
Because there was only 13 pitches.
Yeah, I mean, I give him credit for being a professional and realizing, like, hey, we got a 4-game series coming up against the Braves. I need to take I need to take my lumps today.
Yep. And then we used two pitchers out of the bullpen that hopefully you don't see in the series.
Yeah,
right?
You're not seeing them over the weekend.
Especially Mercado. Jeez. Ooh. He had one start. Then see ya.
I saw a stat today. Oh my God, this is crazy. Mercado has thrown less than 100 pitches in the majors and has given up 9 home runs.
Is that good?
Wow. That's hard
That's baffling how the guy keeps getting put in games.
That's really hard to do. What's Greg, give us pitching matchups.
Yep.
Coming up
4 here in
That's
Philly.
crazy.
Bravos.
We're not talking about 100 innings. We're talking about 100 pitches.
Tomorrow night, Dirty Sanchez versus Charlie Martin.
To win.
Friday night, Ranger Suarez versus Reynaldo Lopez.
Ooh, that might be a tough one. That's going to be a low-scoring game.
Saturday, primetime Fox, Zach Wheeler, Max Fried.
To win.
And Sunday, primetime ESPN, Sunday Night Baseball, Aaron Nola and Schwellenbach.
To win. Taking 3 out of 4. Book it.
Yeah, let's go take 3 out of 4.
Let's giddy up.
Let's go. We have the pitching to do it.
Real quick, to that point, they have Walker scheduled as that Tuesday starter in Toronto, but they have the off day Monday. They only played 2 game set in Toronto.
Leave him on the board.
Off game Monday. You potentially would need him next Saturday or Sunday against the Fish. And I hope it's Saturday, because I'm going to the game on Sunday. And if I'm going down there to watch Taijuan Walker, I might murder somebody.
I hope you go down there and watch Taijuan Walker.
Well, we're already going. It's already booked.
Making the drive down to Miami, huh?
Taking the train down, train back up, same day.
Taking the train down, huh?
Yeah, they have a new
it's called taking the yellow line?
New bullet train.
Nice.
It's like 2 hours on the train. And then you take an Uber to the ballpark, turn around, come back, see ya.
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, it should be a good time.
You got good seats?
We haven't even booked them yet, just because it's the Marlins. But yeah, I looked the other day when we were at breakfast after golf, and like $25, you were like 5 rows off the field behind home plate.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually bookending this weekend. I'm there tomorrow night and Sunday night, and then football season starts.
Okay.
Real quick, too. I think really good for the Phillies, too, is they missed Chris Sale.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's huge.
Yes, huge.
I mean, you had to hit that perfectly, and they did.
And it's the second series in a row against Atlanta that they missed Chris Sale.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a lot of luck when it comes to the schedule with Atlanta.
Not that Lopez and Schwellenbach have any problem shutting us down.
Right.
No. But you still don't want to see the guy who's 15 and
100%. 100%.
2.58 ERA.
Yeah, the leader in the Cy Young clubhouse right now.
Credit to him, by the way. Everything he has had to battle back.
Huge comeback.
It's crazy, though. We sat here last week and we said, if they could win the series in Kansas City and win the series against the Astros, we'd be happy. And they did. They won.
And we're not happy.
They won both series, and we're not happy.
Well, it's hard. it's hard to be happy. It's like that recency bias when you have Taijuan Walker's the last impression you have. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's hard too because the Braves aren't losing.
Yeah.
Braves aren't going away. So now we're going to find out how happy we are. Because the Braves didn't disappear. They're 5 games out in a 4-game series. Right? They can leave a game out. Essentially. That doesn't happen, God forbid. But you come in here and really put your foot on their throat, and you can take it 3 out of 4 versus them, and you can jump 2 games and turn it into 7. It's a big difference. There's a big difference. If you could somehow, sweep it, even better.
Talk dirty to me, baby. Talk dirty to me.
I mean, last 10 games, Atlanta's the hottest team in baseball right now.
Yeah, I mean, we have the pitching. Right? I mean, we're throwing our guys, so there's no excuse on who we're rolling out there. I mean, it is our guys, so we need to, find a way. Would I be okay with 2-2? I mean, wouldn't be the end of the world, I guess, and then in September. But I prefer this. I'll prefer that to get a little lengthier. That's all.
Yeah,
especially the last time of the year, right? This is it for the Braves. This is the last 4. So
we haven't played them well regular season ever.
No, we don't play them well. No.
I mean, the way they have to look at
we
this
play them well at the end. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, we've all sort of hit the nail on the head here. The way they have to look at this is, circle all 4 of them on the calendar. You get these 4, you're basically putting the nail in their coffin before September 1st. If you don't get at least 3 out of the 4, you're going to have to play your asses off in September just to win the division.
Well, you need at the very least, you need to split. You can't let them gain any ground in the next 4 games.
No, that changes a lot. And it changes a lot of momentum, and then buttholes get tight. And listen, this is when you want to start playing your best baseball. Right? You want to go in October playing your best baseball, and here we are, and we have the opportunity to do it. So let's go take 3 out of 4. Simple. But listen, great show, boys. Always. Like always. Next
Good
Wednesday.
Stuff.
Gentlemen, it's been fun.
See you in a couple months.
I'll check in with you guys from time to time.
Hey.
Well, at least we'll get you, we'll get you for a good amount of Eagle season still.
Yeah.
As it winds down. So that's, that's good. But, next Wednesday we preview it. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think it's here already.
Big
I'm a big summer guy anyway, but prefer, I like the summer better than any other season just because it's summer. How can you not? But fall's right up there. If I didn't get sick at the same time every fall, I probably would like it more. But knowing that's around the corner,
it does lighten the blow that summer's over a little bit.
Yeah, but I do love fall weather. Like if you could give me fall weather all the time, where you'll get those 80s, but get a little chill at night.
Oh yeah,
give me like tomorrow. Give me like tomorrow, where it's going to be like 84 during the day and like 70 at night. I'm in.
Yeah, that's a good one. Today, not so much. Casey, what the F is that? I mean, we're on our way out, and you said the show was shockingly positive. We're always positive.
That's all right, Casey. I'm done after this week. So
we're always a ray of effing sunshine.
It goes downhill from here.
Don, I don't take sick days, Don.
Oh,
I'm just telling you what's coming.
Listen, it's
what up, brother?
It's going to be a fun week next week, previewing the season. A lot of fun stuff going on here at A2D for sure.
Yeah, you guys will be having fun. I'll be studying depth charts.
Hey,
getting the binocs all lubed up, ready to go.
Yeah.
Listen, Friday morning, right, Tom? Next Friday, we're gonna have Brian on doing like a game day preview, basically.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's game day on a goddamn Friday. But yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I didn't even think about that when we planned it, and I was like, oh, it's actually kind of good because we don't really have an Eagles show that day. It's like our preview show.
Oh, it's perfect timing.
Blue Meanie joining us.
Yep, and the Eagles will win 34-21. So,
I can't even begin to tell you how bent I am about that 8:15 Friday night, the night before my season opener. I got to be calling a game at 12 noon the next day, like cup of coffee and a Red Bull, trying to get my energy up because I stayed up to watch the end of the Birds.
Yeah,
that's it.
They better win, right, Mike?
Yeah,
man, I'll tell you what. we've had some late nights on A2D in the past and the present, but man, on a Friday night before a football game when I'm on air, I'm dozing by like 9:45. That'll be like halftime, week 1. I'll be like toothpicks in my eyelids, like, during the first half of my game on Saturday.
Whatever it takes, buddy.
Absolutely, man. No doubt.
Come on, get 3 more likes. I didn't even realize that. We're not even at 30 likes. We got 30 people watching right now.
You guys will actually appreciate my week 4 though. Week 4, I am with the Cowboys in New York Thursday night. I'm off Friday night, and then I'm at Bloomsburg with Westchester on Saturday, and then back to New York on Sunday with the Broncos against the Jets.
Nice.
Oh,
it's a busy weekend.
That's a strong week.
That is a strong.
Save those gas receipts.
Yeah, that's a lot of saving gas receipts.
Save those gas receipts.
Jamaica next summer is going to be nice, baby.
Casey, we're positive about the Sixers still. All right. 62 wins.
62.
Oh, all right.
The NBA season doesn't even matter before the holidays anyway.
No, we've said that for years too, Mike. Like we'll talk to you guys. Christmas Day.
That's right.
Like the season opener. We'll be playing. That's when the season opens. All right, fam. We love you. We appreciate you.
Love it. And you got us at 30. Wednesday. Thanks, fam. Keep going, though.
Keep going. Don't stop.
You don't have to stop, but we're getting out of here.
We're getting out of here. We'll see you next week.